It was a crisp October morning in 2024, the kind of day where the air smells like fallen leaves and the world feels like it's holding its breath. I was sitting on my porch by Willow Creek, a quiet little lake just outside Portland, Oregon, sipping coffee and soaking in the stillness. The water sparkled under the early sun, and I was thinking about taking my kayak out later. Just another perfect day at my cabin, a place I'd worked hard to call my own. Then the doorbell started buzzing rapid, impatient, like someone was trying to drill through the wall with it. I knew right then my peace was about to be shattered. When I opened the door, there stood a kid, maybe 18, all swagger and designer sneakers, phone already out, probably live streaming to his legion of followers. Behind him, parked in my gravel driveway like she owned it, was a woman in a sleek silver SUV that screamed money. The kid sized me up, his smirk practically shouting trouble. "Hey, you must be Mr. Bennett," he said, not asking but declaring. "I'm Ethan Caldwell, and I need your cabin for my birthday bash this weekend." Not a question, not a request, just a demand, like my property was his personal playground. I'm standing there in my old flannel and jeans, my faded sheriff's department t-shirt barely registering in his eyes, and I can tell he's already decided I'm a nobody he can steamroll. The woman stepped out of the SUV, striding over with the kind of confidence that comes from always getting your way. She was dressed like she was heading to a boardroom, not a lakeside cabin-tailored blazer, glossy heels, a handbag that probably cost more than my truck. "Good morning," she said, her smile all teeth and no warmth. "I'm Victoria Caldwell, Ethan's mother. I'm also a county commissioner." She let that title hang in the air, like it was supposed to make me snap to attention. "I understand Ethan reached out about using your lake property. We're prepared to offer fair compensation for Saturday." Fair compensation, as if my home was an Airbnb listing. The entitlement rolled off them like fog off the creek, thick and suffocating. Ethan jumped in before I could respond, waving his phone like it was a scepter. "Look, I've got 200,000 followers online. Hosting my party here would be huge for your cabin's exposure. Most people would kill for this kind of promo." I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. This kid thought his social media clout gave him real-world power. Victoria nodded, her smile tightening. "As a commissioner, I work closely with local agencies' permits, zoning, all that. Community cooperation makes everyone's life easier, don't you think, Mr. Bennett?" The implication was clear: play ball, or we'll make trouble. It was like watching a masterclass in veiled threats, delivered with the polish of people who'd never been told no. I leaned against the doorframe, keeping my voice calm. "I appreciate you stopping by. This is interesting." Ethan's eyes lit up, thinking I was caving, while Victoria's smile turned smug. "I'm sure we can work this out exactly as it should," I added, letting them think they had me cornered. They didn't notice the way I was watching them, cataloging every word, every gesture. I've been a sheriff for 25 years, seen every flavor of arrogance. But this was next level. They were so sure they could bully me into handing over my cabin. They didn't see the trap they were walking into. Sometimes, the best way to teach a lesson is to let people dig their own graves. The next day, my phone rang before I'd finished my coffee. Unknown number, but I had a hunch. Sure enough, it was Victoria, her voice now laced with an official edge. "Mr. Bennett, this is Commissioner Caldwell. I trust you've reconsidered our discussion." She launched into a spiel about how Ethan's birthday was a community event and how lake properties like mine had complex zoning requirements. I could hear Ethan in the background, whispering, "Mention the permit stuff, Mom." She went on, "When property owners don't cooperate, complications can arise. I'd hate for there to be issues with your cabin's compliance." It was textbook intimidation, wrapped in bureaucratic jargon. She was threatening to weaponize her position, thinking I was just some guy who'd fold under pressure. What she didn't know was that I'd already started recording every call, every interaction, building a case as airtight as the cabin's cedar walls. By noon, Ethan had unleashed his online army. My neighbor texted me screenshots of his posts, painting me as a greedy recluse hoarding a community resource. "Selfish cabin owner refuses to support local youth." One caption read, complete with a video of Ethan pouting dramatically by the creek. His 200,000 followers ate it up, flooding the comments with insults about bitter old men who hate young people. It was mob mentality in 4K, and Ethan was loving every second of it. Meanwhile, Victoria was working the official angle. I got calls from the county zoning office about potential violations and vague neighborhood complaints. It was a coordinated attack. Ethan's social media pressure and Victoria's bureaucratic muscle, both aimed at breaking me. They thought they were clever, but every move they made was another nail in their coffin. I spent that evening reviewing their handiwork. Ethan's posts, Victoria's voicemails, the county's fishing expedition. It was all documented, a perfect record of harassment and abuse of power. I smiled, sipping my whiskey by the fire. They were handing me everything I needed, wrapped in a bow. The next morning, they escalated again. Victoria called, dropping all pretense. "Mr. Bennett, Ethan's party is happening at your cabin this Saturday, whether you cooperate or not. As a commissioner, I can ensure compliance when necessary." Ethan, meanwhile, was hyping his followers for a confrontation at my property, promising a live-streamed showdown with this selfish old guy. They were so confident, so sure they had me trapped, they didn't see the storm coming. Saturday arrived like a scene from a bad reality show. Victoria's SUV rolled up, followed by a caravan of teens hanging out of car windows, phones out, ready to capture their big moment. Ethan hopped out, dressed like he was hosting a red carpet event, narrating to his live stream with the glee of a kid who thought he was untouchable. "Here we are, guys, at the cabin owner's place. Perfect spot for my party, but this guy doesn't get community spirit." Victoria stepped up beside him, briefcase in hand, county commissioner pin gleaming on her lapel. "Mr. Bennett," she said, voice dripping with authority, "I'm here officially to address concerns about your property's compliance." She spread out a stack of papers, fake documents, I'd bet talking about zoning violations and community standards. It was extortion in broad daylight, and Ethan was broadcasting it to the world. I let them perform, listening to Victoria's legal nonsense and Ethan's social media sermon, watching them build their case against themselves. Then I reached into my pocket. Ethan's eyes tracked my hand, probably expecting a check or a surrender. "Ma'am, Ethan," I said, my voice steady as the creak behind me. "It's time you learned who you're dealing with." I pulled out my sheriff's badge and credentials, holding them up so the morning light caught the metal. "I'm Sheriff Daniel Bennett. Too bad you decided to threaten a law enforcement officer." The silence was deafening. Victoria's jaw dropped, her papers trembling in her hands. Ethan's phone wobbled as his live stream captured the exact moment his world fell apart. His followers' comments exploded, shock, memes, accusations, turning his victory lap into a public execution. "I've been recording everything," I continued, pulling out my phone to show the app that had caught every threat, every call. "Threatening a sheriff, abusing your office, harassment, intimidation. You've been busy." Victoria turned green, realizing her political career was crumbling. Ethan's followers were abandoning him in droves, his count plummeting as the internet turned on him. "You documented it all yourselves?" I said, gesturing to Ethan's still-running live stream. "Every post, every thread, all out there for the world to see." Victoria stammered, "Sheriff Bennett, this is a misunderstanding," but it was too late. The evidence was ironclad, and they knew it. Within hours, the story went viral. News outlets from Seattle to D.C. called, hungry for the tale of a commissioner and her influencer son caught bullying a sheriff on camera. Ethan's follower count crashed to under 30,000, his brand, now synonymous with entitled stupidity. Victoria's allies distanced themselves, issuing statements condemning her unacceptable conduct. The county launched an ethics probe, and the state attorney general opened a criminal investigation. Their apology attempt, satire video from Ethan, a lawyer-drafted statement from Victoria only fueled the fire, with the internet tearing them apart for their lack of accountability. 2 weeks later, Victoria's arraignment was a media circus. She tried to hide behind sunglasses, but the cameras caught every step of her downfall. Charges included abuse of office, extortion, and harassment, each backed by her own recorded words. Ethan faced juvenile court for cyberbullying and harassment, his college acceptance revoked, his future in tatters. The trial was swift. The jury took 90 minutes to convict Victoria. The judge sentenced her to 20 months in jail, 3 years probation, a $12,000 fine, and a permanent ban from public office. Ethan got 6 months in juvenile detention, 500 hours of community service at a homeless shelter, and a social media ban until he's 21. My civil lawsuit for defamation added financial pain, enough to fund a nice fishing trip next summer. 6 months on, the story's still alive. Victoria's folding laundry in county jail, her political dreams dust. Ethan's picking up litter by the highway, learning what real struggle looks like. Their case sparked new ethics laws and cyberbullying reforms, their names forever tied to failure. My cabin's quiet again, the creek whispering its old song. I sip my coffee, watching the water, knowing justice worked because I let them bury themselves. Their arrogance was their undoing, and they filmed every step of it. What do you think? Should entitled people face harsher penalties when they abuse power like this? Could Ethan have salvaged his future if he'd just taken no for an answer? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if justice feels this good, and subscribe for more stories where consequences hit hard. Let's keep this conversation going.